Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new, pleasure to meet you. My name is Mamie. I just wanted to say before I sort of get into this video, I just wanted to say I'm sorry that I haven't been posting super consistently lately. I kind of had a family emergency happen, not kind of, I had a family emergency happen, and I'm not going to share what it is on the internet because it's a very, private family matter type thing. I'm okay now. I've just been really busy. I got a new job. I love it. I'm no longer a hairdresser. Eventually I will like to make a video sort of talking about why I stepped away from cosmetology. I still do friends and family members' hair. And I still have a passion for hair and makeup, but I just don't do it as my day job because it was so draining and most of the environments were just extremely toxic. So let me know in the comments if you would like a storytime video. I've had a lot of people on my Instagram say that they would be very interested in a storytime video as to why I switched jobs. I'm not going to say what the job is just because I value my privacy and my safety, but just know it's something I'm happier doing. Alright, into the topic of today's video. I'm sorry for that little ramble. I'm sorry if I'm speaking a little bit fast too. I feel like I'm speaking fast. But anyways, the topic of today's video is advice for Babybats. And so Babybats, I'm sure most of the people watching me, sorry, I don't know what the cats are doing. I think they're play fighting, so if you hear anything, it's Edgar and Ichabod. But, excuse me, what was I saying? They distracted me. Yes, okay, so for those of you who don't know, Babybat is slang for like a beginner goth, like somebody who had just gotten into goth music and, the subculture and sort of a whole thing. And you can be a Babybat at any age. I've met Babybats who are, teenagers. I've met Babybats who are in their 20s. I've met Babybats who are in their 30s, 40s even. So there's really no age limit as to when you can find a subculture. It's silly to think that everyone goes into it at a certain age. It's different with everyone. But I wanted to give advice because I get a lot of people when I do my Instagram Q&As, which I do frequently. Follow me on Instagram at Mamie Hades if you'd like to ask me a question the next time I do them. Or excuse me, do one of those rather. And so I get a lot of people asking me advice for Babybats, for beginner goths, what they should know, what they should avoid, stuff like that. And so I made a list of a few things. It's on Google Docs on my phone, so if I'm glancing at my phone, you know why. So I would say my first word of advice for any Babybats watching this is that to understand, first things first, that goth is a music-based subculture. Claiming to be a goth and not listening to goth music is very similar to claiming to be a metalhead who doesn't listen to metal, right? Like, just because somebody wears the clothes and the makeup doesn't mean that they are a part of the subculture. I've met plenty of goths, who you don't expect them to be goth based off of their appearance, but I'm going to talk about that later. So, first things first, basically just understand goth is a music-based subculture and you cannot claim to be goth and not listen to the music. Sorry, I'm talking with my hands. I feel like my Italian grandmother right now. Also, another really important thing on this first point is to remember that, goth stemmed from punk and is inherently, left-leaning and anti-establishment and anti-bigotry. So being a very closed-minded, bigoted goth with hateful viewpoints, that it's very oxymoronic, I'm not trying to sound like a gatekeeper or anything, but actual goths are not racist, homophobes, etc. None of that is welcome in our scene, and if you have any of those views, goth is not for you, plain and simple. It stemmed from punk. It is called post-punk for a damn good reason. Alright, now secondly, I wanted to say don't stress about your appearance or, finding a signature look too much. Like, don't stress about that. You know, don't worry about your hair and your makeup looking exactly the way you want it to. I remember when I was a baby bat, when I was 13, I really, you know, learning how to do makeup, you know, you can get a little bit discouraged. I would say I only got discouraged sometimes personally, because I tend to not get discouraged super easily, like in terms of learning hair and makeup things. But I would say, you know, don't worry about it not looking exactly the way you want it to look, because, you know, just give it time, give it practice, and your hair and makeup, like, it's gonna improve. Just take my word for it. Over time, it gets better. My makeup did not look the way that it does now when I was first starting out doing makeup. Nobody's makeup is gonna look perfect right away. Thirdly, you do not have to only listen to goth music. That's, I think, a really huge thing that, a very huge misconception that a lot of baby bats get hung up with. They'll say, oh, I want to be goth, but I also like punk rock, and I like pop music, and I like rap or hip hop or jazz or whatever genre of music they may also listen to. And you don't have to only listen to goth music to be goth. As long as you listen to goth music, you are a goth. So, you know, if you like Lady Gaga, or if you like folk punk, or you like hardcore or whatever, you know, cool, great, awesome, you know, like, as long as you listen to goth music, you're a goth. You can enjoy other genres outside of goth music as long as you listen to goth music. I hope that, you know, makes sense. Like, I like plenty of artists that aren't considered goth. Like, I've been listening to a lot of Harley Poe lately. I've been a Harley Poe fan for a few years now, but I love his stuff. Check it out if you like spooky folk punk. That's also kind of, I think, why I said folk punk, because I was thinking about all the Harley Poe I've been listening to lately. Fourthly, my fourth point here is try to thrift, DIY, and shop small for clothing and accessories. Try to avoid fast fashion as much as you can. Dressing goth does not need to be expensive. Another thing is, like, if we're talking about, like, 80s trad goths here, like the original goths, they didn't have stores that catered to alternative people, really, like the way that we do nowadays. It was a lot of going to thrift stores and DIYing pieces, excuse me, I cannot speak, DIYing pieces. So, you know, not buying pre-made goth looking clothes, which I have some of that, to be fair. I'll be honest with you, but honestly, I do get like 80% of my wardrobe secondhand. Like, stockings are probably the only thing that I don't get, not the only thing, but some of the few things I have that I don't try to get secondhand. I do buy some like regular store clothes in black occasionally if I can't find what I'm looking for at multiple thrift stores and on Depop, then I'll get something new. But I do try to get stuff secondhand. Like, this top, for example, is secondhand, and the heels I'm wearing right now, excuse me, I feel like I'm losing my voice, are secondhand. My throat is still sore from the Sisters of Mercy. I swear to God, it was almost 2 weeks ago, and my throat is, like, as I'm recording it, it's definitely gonna pass 2 weeks since it was, but I just got a second wind of me losing my voice. I thought it had healed itself. Okay, so the fifth word of advice is to try to ignore elitists the best that you can. So in the goth subculture, there's always going to be those holier-than-thou people, you know, the people who say, oh, you're not a real goth unless you tease your hair and dye it black. You're not a real goth unless, you know every Sisters of Mercy song backwards in Latin, you know, like, just these ridiculous things. Like, obviously that last thing, nobody's saying that, but I have run into a lot of elitists, you know. There's people who will claim that I'm not a real goth because my makeup looks too much like drag makeup, you know, and that's a very silly thing that, you know, I've heard, you know, like, actual goths don't dress like that, actual goths don't talk like that, even, is one that I got, which is ridiculous. Like, okay, we're policing the way that people speak now. Like, I'm sorry. all sorts of silly things like that. And at the end of the day, you cannot let elitists and, you know, cyberbullies and people who just want to rise out of you get to you. Honestly, I have a pretty thick skin from like years of bullying, unfortunately, but you don't always have that thick skin typically if you're just starting out and you've just sort of found yourself. So I just want to say, really try to do your best to, you know, ignore elitists the best that you can. And in the age of the internet, you can just block people. It's fantastic. Out of sight, out of mind. I'm a big believer in the block button. You know, if anybody is causing you any distress, block them, pay them no mind. You know, out of sight, out of mind really does, that saying really does work for me. And just remember, as long as you listen to goth music and you understand that there are, you know, like, ideals that go along with goth, like being, you know, anti-bigotry and, you know, stuff like that, you're all set. I'm sorry, my cat's, I don't know if you can hear Edgar, but he's meowing. So another thing is, remember that you don't need to dress goth or wear makeup to be goth if you don't want to or are unable to for whatever reason. I have friends who are goths who have really bad sensory issues and can't wear makeup every day or at all in some cases. I have friends who, you know, opt for very comfy clothing who are goths. You know, you don't have to wear these, you know, elaborate outfits. You don't have to do the elaborate hair and makeup, only if you want to. You know, it's really up to you. And I want everyone at home watching to understand that it's up to them. I do it because it brings me joy and it's self-expression for me. And I just really like it personally. It makes me happy. So that's why I do it. It's my body. I can dress up my meat suit how I please, right? But just know that to be a goth, you don't need to have that outwards appearance if you really don't want to. No one is forcing you to. Alright, and my last word of advice is, as cliche as it sounds, to just sort of have fun with it, you know? Like, you don't have to take yourself so seriously, you know, try to make friends, you know, like, if you don't have any goths in your area, you could try to make some mutuals online, but again, please stay safe and only talk to people within your age range. Like, I can assure you, you know, if you're like 14, that 19-year-old is not your friend. They're a predator, like, 90% of the time. So just be very careful with like who you're talking to on the internet, but have fun with it. Like, you know, go thrifting, DIY stuff, check out some goth playlists like on Spotify or Apple Music. There's a bunch of really awesome ones out there. Maybe paint your own patches and, I don't know, just do some DIY, mess around with your makeup, maybe look for some modern goth bands too. You know, there's really, it's really like the sky is the limit. But I'm sorry I kind of rambled a bit. I'm sorry if I spoke too fast at any of these parts, and I'm sorry if anything that I said wasn't super coherent. I really do try my best, but I really hope that I helped some people at home. I am a very big believer in being kind to baby bats and not bullying baby bats, because every goth was once a baby bat. I was once a baby bat. The goths that I know that are, you know, in their 40s were once baby bats. You know, like, we all start somewhere, and I feel like I would much rather guide people and be polite to them than, you know, be an elitist and point and laugh at them. Like, I don't understand why some people do that, but anyways, I digress. I hope everyone at home really liked this video. I hope it was helpful. If you did like this video, make sure to leave a like and to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I will see you guys in the next video.